Welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm Michelle Fleming.
And I'm Renee Smith. And it looks like we're going traveling today.
This is a traveling one. In fact, I love all these little vehicles we have here. You just want to play almost.
Absolutely. I get the motorcycle.
Yeah, you're going to jump it.
I won't ride a real one, but I could jump the river with this one.
Well, as I look at this, it made me think about when I was younger, and we used to go with my brother and I and my parents. We'd go on road trips. And you know how those that was back before we had DVDs and
that went
everything.
It took forever to get there.
Oh yeah, because the speed limit was a lot lower than it is now. But my brother and I, to pass time, we used to make up games as we would travel. And one of our favorite games, probably because at that point it was just something to do to pass the time, was we would choose colors of vehicles.
Okay.
And so like if I would choose, I usually got to choose first because I was the youngest. You know how that goes.
I do know how that goes. I was the baby too.
So I would choose blue because back then blue vehicles were very common. And my brother might pick white, and then I'd pick red, and then we'd go back and forth and we'd pick our colors.
Oh, and so you got to pick more than one color.
Yeah, you got to pick. We had purples and oranges, which you hardly ever
saw a car that was that color.
You got down to that point.
Okay.
And then we'd we'd set a time, and we'd say for the next hour or so, we're going to watch cars go by, and we're going to actually, every time I see a blue vehicle, I get a point, and every time he sees one of his colors. So we'd keep a tally going as we went.
Cool.
And so, it passed the time for us.
And you were doing some math. You were counting, and you were
tallying.
And counting by fives.
And when we got done, we had to tally up and count up all of our points we had. So yeah, that was by fives.
Okay, so you did a little math. Well, I have some other ways that I think that parents could help kids pass the time while they're traveling, and if they can pull them away from the DVD players.
Yeah.
And they can actually do some math along the way. So would you like to record for me?
I would. I'd like to grab some of these other ideas.
One of the ideas is kind of exactly what Michelle was talking about when she was talking about counting. But instead of counting the colors of cars, which actually I guess you could still do that. I don't think there would be anything wrong with that, especially with younger children. But with older kids, another thing that you might do is look for the numbers themselves outside the car. So we could be looking at license tags or billboards by the side of the road or any kind of signage that you see as you travel down the road. And we would be looking for the numbers in sequence. So we would start with the counting numbers, start with 1, and everybody in the vehicle would be looking for the number 1. And as soon as we spotted that, then we'd start to look for the number 2 and so on and so forth.
Until we got to whatever you
whatever number you decided to end on. You also might, after you've done that, you might start to count by 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. And so that kids are starting to do some of that skip counting. And that would be a great way to spend the time doing that same skill.
Okay.
So that would be...
So that's one idea.
That's one idea.
Okay.
Another idea that we thought of was the fact that there's a lot of estimation you could do while you're traveling. You could estimate the amount of time it was going to take you to get to grandma's house. And if kids are a little bit older and know about 60 miles per hour would be you could get about 60 miles in 1 hour, then they might be able to figure out that if grandma's house is 300 miles away, about how long that would take. So they can.
So when they're back in the back and they're like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?"
Make them do the math.
Make them do the math and figure out how close they really are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Another thing you might be able to talk about would be how long it is before you better stop at the gas station, so you can be estimating that's how much time before you need to fill up your tank, because you would hate to get out in the middle of nowhere and no gas station. So there's lots of other things you could estimate. You could estimate the distance you've already gone. The distance that's left to do, so all of those kinds. So distance could be an estimation as well.
Okay.
So lots of things you can do to pass time in the car while you're on the summer road trip that will help your children with math in school.
So unplug the DVD for a while.
For a little while.
Do some math along the way. I remember even with my kids, giving them fun mental math things to do while they were in the car. and say, if I had 50 plus 50 plus another 50, how much do I have? And just asking them those questions along the way. They kind of like to do that as well.
Right.
You can do that anywhere, not just in the car, but just any time to get them thinking about mathematics.
Keep it fresh for them during the summer. Well, thanks for joining us again on By the Numbers, and we'll see you next time.